50 years ago, this man changed the world by seeing it in a way no one ever had before.
The haunting memory of the Soyuz 11 mission remains etched in space exploration history. On June 30th, 1971, the world witnessed an unexpected tragedy when 3 Soviet cosmonauts, returning from an unprecedented stint in space, were found lifeless inside their capsule. With headlines that promised chilling revelations from an old camera, it's vital to separate sensationalism from reality. This video delves deep into the events surrounding Soyuz 11, highlighting the heroism, challenges, and ultimate sacrifices made in mankind's relentless pursuit of the stars. The allure and mystery of space exploration. Space exploration, since its very inception, has stood as a testament to human ambition and ingenuity. For centuries, humans have gazed up at the vast expanse above, starry and inscrutable, and dreamt of touching the heavens. This celestial curiosity paved the way for technological advancements that pushed us into the void, taking our first tentative steps on the moon and aiming for interplanetary travel. But for all its wonder, space is an environment that remains perilously unforgiving. Every milestone achieved is juxtaposed against towering challenges that test the limits of both technology and human perseverance. The journey from Earth to the great beyond is strewn with both luminous tales of achievement and sobering reminders of the inherent dangers. From the momentous Apollo moon landings to the devastating Challenger explosion, the gamut of emotions evoked by these endeavors ranges from elation to profound sorrow. Each expedition comes with its risks, and the Soyuz 11 mission was no exception. Yet the narrative of these events, especially when taken out of context, can often be manipulated, turning historical fact into sensationalist fiction. The modern age, with its relentless flow of information, has given rise to a culture of instant gratification. Stories are shared and reshared with just a click, often without a second thought to their veracity. This rapid dissemination of information, coupled with the need to stand out in a saturated media landscape, has birthed the phenomenon of clickbait. A term all too familiar in today's digital realm, clickbait refers to content, primarily headlines, designed to attract attention and entice users to click on a link, often leading to misleading or overly sensationalized information. In the context of the Soyuz 11 mission, it's not difficult to understand the allure of presenting its story through a clickbait lens. Chilling revelations from an old camera can indeed stir the imagination, invoking images of forgotten footage or concealed truths waiting to be unearthed. However, the responsibility of discerning fact from embellished fiction rests with us, the readers. Amidst the waves of stories that flow our way, we must remain vigilant, searching for credible sources and shunning those that prioritize ad revenue over authenticity. Space exploration is a domain where the line between awe-inspiring achievements and heartbreaking failures is often razor-thin. While the Soyuz 11 mission and its tragic conclusion serve as a poignant reminder of the risks undertaken in our cosmic endeavors, it's essential to approach its tale with an understanding that respects both its historical significance and the memory of those who gave their lives in the name of progress. This balanced approach, free from the trappings of sensationalism, ensures that the legacy of such events remains untarnished and true to its essence. The historical context, the Cold War and the space race. The Cold War, spanning roughly from the end of World War II in 1945 to the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, was a period of intense geopolitical tension between two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. These two behemoths, each wielding significant military, economic, and political influence, engaged in a high-stakes game of strategy and subterfuge where direct military conflict was averted, but proxy wars and ideological battles were waged across the globe. One of the most intriguing arenas of this global standoff was the competition for supremacy in outer space, aptly termed the space race. The origins of the space race can be traced back to the end of World War II, when both the US and the USSR scrambled to acquire Nazi V-2 rocket technology and the scientists who had pioneered it. These rockets, originally developed as weapons, soon became the basis for early space exploration efforts. By the late 1950s, the first salvos in this celestial competition were fired. The Soviets, drawing first blood, launched Sputnik 1, the world's first artificial satellite, into orbit in 1957. This achievement was not just a technological marvel. It was a profound political statement. It signaled to the world that the USSR was leading in one of the most advanced arenas of scientific endeavor. This lead was further solidified when, in 1961, Yuri Gagarin became the first human to orbit the Earth aboard Vostok 1. For the U.S., these Soviet successes were a stark reminder of the urgency and importance of their own space program. President John F. Kennedy, recognizing both the geopolitical and symbolic significance of space exploration, set forth a daunting challenge to land an American on the moon and bring them back safely before the decade was out. Thus began the concerted effort of NASA's Apollo program. In the subsequent years, the two nations raced, each achieving a series of firsts. While the U.S. worked diligently toward the moon landing, the Soviets focused on building a sustained presence in space. This led to the development of the world's first space station, Salyut 1, and subsequently the Soyuz program, which was designed to transport cosmonauts to and from this orbital outpost. The Soyuz 11 mission in this context was pivotal. Taking place in 1971, it was a mission characterized by both triumphant success and tragic loss. Soyuz 11 successfully docked with Salyut 1, marking the first time a crewed spacecraft had rendezvoused with a space station. The crew spent 23 days aboard, setting a new record for the longest human spaceflight at that time. But the euphoria of this achievement was short-lived. Upon re-entry into Earth's atmosphere, a cabin vent valve defect resulted in the deaths of all three cosmonauts, a somber reminder of the immense risks involved in space exploration. The significance of Soyuz 11, however, transcended its tragic end. In the larger tapestry of the space race, it underscored the USSR's commitment to establishing a long-term human presence in space. While the U.S. achieved the monumental task of landing humans on the moon with Apollo 11 in 1969, the Soviets were laying the groundwork for what would become the foundation of modern space habitation. The experiences, both good and bad, from the Soyuz and Salyut programs informed subsequent missions and were instrumental in shaping the collaborative international space endeavors of the future, like the International Space Station. As the 1970s progressed, the fervor of the space race began to wane. The Apollo program concluded, and both superpowers faced economic and political challenges at home. The signing of the Apollo-Soyuz test project in 1972, where an American and a Soviet spacecraft docked in space, symbolized a thaw in the icy relations between the two nations and marked the beginning of collaborative efforts in space exploration. The Soyuz 11 mission and its importance. In the annals of space exploration, there are missions that echo through time, not only for their triumphs but also for the lessons they teach. Soyuz 11, undertaken by the Soviet Union in 1971, is one such mission. It was a mission filled with contrasts, an audacious endeavor marred by tragedy, a moment of tremendous pride for the Soviet space program overshadowed by loss. The launch of Soyuz 11 was emblematic of the Soviet Union's drive to pioneer a sustained human presence in space. At its core, the mission sought to dock with Salyut 1, the world's first space station, and conduct a series of experiments therein. Yet this operational objective barely scratches the surface of its deeper symbolic importance. By sending humans to live and work in space for extended periods, the Soviet Union was drawing a blueprint for humanity's future among the stars. While the United States had made great strides with the Apollo program, culminating in the moon landings, the Soviet Union envisioned space not just as a destination, but as a new domain for human activity. In this vision, the space station, and the Soyuz missions that served it, became integral. Soyuz 11 wasn't just about machinery and protocols. At its heart were three men who brought the mission to life: Georgy Dobrovolsky, Viktor Patsayev, and Vladislav Volkov. These were not just any cosmonauts. They were selected for their expertise, tenacity, and their capacity to work cohesively as a unit under challenging conditions. Georgy Dobrovolsky, the mission commander, was an experienced pilot and engineer. His background in the Air Force combined with rigorous cosmonaut training prepared him to lead the mission. Dobrovolsky embodied the archetype of a Soviet hero, disciplined, driven, and unwavering in his commitment to the mission's success. Viktor Patsayev, the research engineer aboard Soyuz 11, had a background in spacecraft design. His unique perspective, understanding both the theoretical and practical elements of space travel, made him indispensable. Patsayev was known for his methodical approach to problems and his ability to devise solutions under pressure. It was Patsayev who would conduct many of the scientific experiments aboard Salyut 1, furthering our understanding of space and its effects on the human body. Then there was Vladislav Volkov, a flight engineer who had already tasted the vacuum of space on the Soyuz 7 mission. Volkov was known for his affable nature and his knack for maintaining morale, a crucial trait for extended missions. His previous experience in space made him a valuable team member, providing first-hand knowledge and insights into the intricacies of life in orbit. The mission, despite its tragic end, was a series of significant milestones. The crew's successful docking with Salyut 1 and their extended stay of 23 days were monumental. They conducted a multitude of experiments, ranging from biological studies to observations of the Earth. These experiments provided a treasure trove of data that would inform future space missions. However, their contributions weren't merely scientific. In living and working aboard Salyut 1, they showcased the viability of long-duration space missions. They demonstrated that humans could not only survive, but also conduct meaningful work in space for periods that eclipsed previous records. This was a testament to both the cosmonauts' training and the engineers who designed the spacecraft and the space station. But the Soyuz 11 mission is often remembered for its tragic end. The loss of the crew during re-entry was a somber reminder of the inherent risks of space travel. It was a wake-up call for both the Soviet space program and the world. Yet in that loss was also a lesson. Space exploration demands not only courage, but also an unwavering commitment to safety and constant learning. In retrospect, Soyuz 11, with its blend of audacity, innovation, and tragedy, captures the essence of early space exploration. It reminds us that behind the cold machinery of rockets and space stations are humans with dreams, aspirations, and families. The mission's legacy is multifaceted. On one hand, it pushed the boundaries of what was possible, setting the stage for future long-duration missions. On the other, it underscored the need for vigilance, for continuous improvement in safety protocols, and for honoring those who paid the ultimate price in humanity's quest to explore the cosmos. The tragic return, from celebrated heroes to tragic martyrs. The tale of Soyuz 11, in many ways, is emblematic of the early era of space exploration, a heady mix of exhilarating triumphs punctuated by heart-wrenching tragedies. The mission, marked by significant achievements, took a somber turn as it approached its culmination. The 3 men aboard, ready to make their descent back to Earth after an extended mission, were on the cusp of being celebrated as heroes. However, a sequence of unforeseen events transmuted their triumphant return into a tragic episode that left an indelible mark on space history. The Soyuz 11 crew had successfully undocked from Salyut 1 and was preparing for re-entry. Everything seemed to be proceeding as per the plan. The descent module separated from the service module, positioning itself for its fiery descent through Earth's atmosphere. However, unbeknownst to ground control and the crew inside, a cabin vent valve had malfunctioned. It had jolted open roughly 168 kilometers above the Earth. As the cabin depressurized rapidly, the protective atmosphere that the crew depended on was sucked out into the unforgiving vacuum of space. The physiological effects of rapid decompression are swift and brutal. Without the atmospheric pressure to keep bodily fluids in a liquid state, they begin to vaporize. Consciousness is lost within seconds. Though the exact timeline of events within the capsule remains a subject of speculation, it is generally believed that the cosmonauts would have lost consciousness within 15 to 20 seconds after the depressurization began. They would not have had time to fully comprehend the gravity of the situation or to take corrective action. When Soyuz 11 touched down and ground crews rushed to the capsule, anticipation quickly turned to horror. The sight that met them was haunting. The three cosmonauts, once vital and alive, now lay motionless, victims of a cruel twist of fate. Their faces bore a bluish hue, a grim testament to the lack of oxygen. The initial reactions were a mix of shock, disbelief, and profound grief. The Soviet Union, which had viewed its cosmonauts as icons of national pride, was plunged into mourning. The state-controlled media, which would usually be reticent about reporting setbacks, broke the news to the Soviet public, painting the crew as tragic martyrs who laid down their lives in the service of humanity's quest to conquer space. Internationally, the news was met with a similar mixture of sorrow and sympathy. The Cold War rivalries that had fueled the space race momentarily seemed insignificant in the face of such a loss. Leaders from around the world sent their condolences to the Soviet Union, recognizing the global nature of the endeavor to explore space and the shared risks involved. The crew of Soyuz 11, in their death, became a symbol of the human cost of pushing boundaries. The tragedy had a profound impact on subsequent space missions. It underscored the inherent risks of space travel and the thin margins between success and disaster. It became a grim reminder that in the quest to push the envelope, preparedness and meticulous attention to safety protocols were not just necessary but critical. The global space community took a collective pause. The Soyuz program in particular underwent intense scrutiny. Engineers and scientists pored over every detail of the mission, determined to uncover the exact sequence of events and, more importantly, to ensure that such a tragedy was not repeated. The cabin vent valve was redesigned, and more rigorous pre-flight checks were instituted. Additionally, it was decided that cosmonauts would wear pressure suits during takeoff and landing, a practice that became standard. The loss of the Soyuz 11 crew was a pivotal moment in the annals of space exploration. It brought into sharp focus the very real human costs and the sacrifices made by those who dared to venture into the unknown. The three cosmonauts, Dobrovolsky, Patsayev, and Volkov, were posthumously awarded the title of Hero of the Soviet Union, and their names became synonymous with courage, dedication, and sacrifice. Unpacking the mystery, the investigation, and its findings. The tragedy of Soyuz 11, having struck an emotional chord with millions worldwide, beckoned an immediate, comprehensive investigation. As heartrending as the incident was, understanding its cause was not just about attributing blame, but crucially about advancing human knowledge and making space exploration safer for future generations. From the outset, the Soviet space program faced a daunting task. The capsule, upon landing, had given no immediate external signs of the disaster that had befallen its occupants. It was up to the investigators to delve into the intricacies of the Soyuz systems, the vastness of space, and the nuances of human physiology to piece together the puzzle. Their findings eventually pinpointed a cabin vent valve as the culprit. Located beneath the cosmonauts' seats, this valve was supposed to open at a much lower altitude to equalize the inside and outside pressures during descent. However, a breach in its construction or a possible collision with a foreign object during the separation of the orbital and descent modules had caused the valve to jolt open prematurely at an altitude of approximately 168 kilometers. This led to a rapid and fatal depressurization. In the bleak, unforgiving vacuum of space, the protective atmospheric shield inside the capsule was sucked out almost instantly. The effects of such rapid depressurization on the human body are harrowing. First, there's a rush of air from the lungs, a reflex action to the sudden pressure change. Without immediate intervention, hypoxia, the deprivation of adequate oxygen supply, sets in rapidly. As this occurs, water vapor in the body starts to expand and vaporize due to the drop in ambient pressure, leading to a phenomenon known as ebullism. Within seconds, unconsciousness ensues. For the crew of Soyuz 11, the time frame for any potential corrective action was tragically short, leaving them with little to no chance of survival. However, the investigation was about more than just technical details. It was a deep, introspective journey for the Soviet space program, challenging its methodologies, practices, and priorities. Failures, especially those with such dire consequences, are seldom due to a single factor. Often they arise from a combination of technical issues, human errors, and systemic shortcomings. And while the cabin vent valve was the immediate cause, the disaster prompted questions about design choices, pre-flight checks, and the decision to not have the crew wear pressure suits during re-entry, a precaution that might have saved their lives. The importance of learning from such failures cannot be understated. Every setback in space exploration, every malfunction or miscalculation, is an opportunity for growth and improvement. For it's not just about conquering space, but about ensuring that the men and women who venture into the cosmos return safely to tell the tale. Space, with all its allure and promise, is a realm of extremes, where even the tiniest oversight can have catastrophic consequences. Following the Soyuz 11 disaster, significant changes were implemented. The design flaw in the valve was rectified, and rigorous pre-flight checks were mandated. Most notably, it became mandatory for cosmonauts to wear pressure suits during takeoff and landing, providing an added layer of protection. But beyond the technicalities and revamped protocols, the tragedy served as a stark reminder of the ethos that should drive space exploration. It's not just about national pride, competition, or pushing the boundaries of what's possible. At its core, space exploration is a testament to human resilience, ingenuity, and the innate desire to explore the unknown. With every mission, the safety and well-being of the explorers should be paramount. The impact of Soyuz 11 on future space missions. The Soyuz 11 catastrophe, with its profound emotional and scientific repercussions, left an indelible mark on the trajectory of space exploration. Not only did it invoke deep introspection within the Soviet Union, but it also reverberated through the international space community, compelling nations to scrutinize and reassess their own methodologies and priorities. For the Soviet space program, the tragedy prompted a swift and necessary paradigm shift. The previously cavalier attitude, occasionally bordering on recklessness in the race to outpace the United States, saw a renewed emphasis on safety. The Soyuz spacecraft underwent meticulous redesigns to address identified vulnerabilities. No longer were cosmonauts allowed to re-enter the atmosphere without pressure suits, a decision that many believed would have saved the Soyuz 11 crew had it been in place earlier. The rigorous pre-flight checks introduced post, the tragedy became a cornerstone of the Soviet space missions, ensuring that every conceivable threat was anticipated and planned for. Across the world, the American space program, NASA, was also grappling with its own demons following the Apollo 1 tragedy in 1967. Soyuz 11 only underscored the inherent risks of space travel. It served as a poignant reminder that the conquest of space, while a testament to human ambition, was fraught with dangers that transcended political rivalries. As the Cold War space race mellowed, both superpowers recognized the importance of collaboration over competition, setting the stage for joint missions such as the Apollo-Soyuz test project in 1975. This project symbolized a mutual understanding that space, as the final frontier, was best explored through shared knowledge and collaborative efforts. However, it was the renewed focus on safety measures that stood out as the most enduring legacy of Soyuz 11. Space agencies worldwide acknowledged that while setbacks were inevitable in this challenging endeavor, the loss of human life was an unacceptable cost. The ensuing decades saw innovations not just aimed at achieving greater milestones in space, but also ensuring that these were achieved without compromising astronaut or cosmonaut safety. These safety measures encompassed a broad spectrum, from the microscopic intricacies of spacecraft design to comprehensive training regimens for the astronauts. Simulators, which recreated space conditions down to the minutest detail, became standard, ensuring that spacefarers were equipped to handle any conceivable scenario. Emergency protocols were rigorously developed, rehearsed, and refined, making certain that in the face of unforeseen challenges, human life remained paramount. Beyond tangible measures, there was a shift in the collective mindset of space agencies. No longer was it enough to achieve a mission. It was equally important to ensure the safe return of those undertaking it. Space missions came to be seen not as isolated endeavors, but as cumulative efforts in humanity's quest to explore the cosmos. Each mission built upon the lessons and experiences of its predecessors, and the safety measures implemented became the gold standard for subsequent endeavors. The allure of the old camera, fact versus fiction. In the aftermath of great tragedies, there often emerges a series of myths, tales, and anecdotes that blur the line between fact and fiction. Soyuz 11, with its tragic narrative and shroud of Cold War secrecy, became a fertile ground for such stories. Among the most persistent of these is the legend of the old camera that allegedly contained horrifying photos of the deceased cosmonauts. This tale, while unsettling, offers an insightful window into the human psyche and our morbid fascination with the macabre. At the core of the old camera legend lies a fundamental aspect of human nature: curiosity. As a species, we are driven by an insatiable urge to know, to explore, and to understand. This trait has propelled our advancements in science, arts, and exploration. However, when faced with the unknown, especially in the context of a tragedy, this curiosity can take a darker turn. The idea that there exists a set of photos that capture the last moments of the Soyuz 11 crew speaks to this intrinsic desire to confront and perhaps make sense of the grim reality of death. Yet while curiosity can lead to profound insights and discoveries, it can also pave the way for misinformation. In the absence of verified information, rumors thrive, often taking a life of their own. The old camera narrative gained traction partly because of the secrecy that surrounded the Soyuz 11 mission. In the dearth of official explanations and the silence that enveloped the incident, the void was filled with speculative tales, each more sensational than the last. The legend of the camera, thus, became a proxy for the collective need to confront, understand, and perhaps even control the narrative of a tragic event that seemed otherwise incomprehensible. However, as time passed and more details about the Soyuz 11 mission surfaced, the myth of the horrifying photos began to crumble under the weight of factual evidence. There were no clandestine photos, no old camera capturing the final moments of despair. The tale, while emotionally evocative, was merely that, a tale. This brings forth the imperative of discerning fact from fiction, a responsibility that is more pressing in today's age of digital misinformation than ever before. The Soyuz 11 tragedy serves as a reminder of how easily unsubstantiated stories can permeate public consciousness, especially when they cater to our deepest fears and curiosities. To embrace such myths without scrutiny is not only a disservice to the truth, but also a disservice to the memories of those whose lives were lost. In recounting and analyzing historical events, there exists an inherent duty to be both accurate and respectful. The cosmonauts of Soyuz 11, like all explorers who venture into the unknown, deserve to be remembered not through sensationalized tales, but through an accurate reflection of their bravery, achievements, and the profound impact of their sacrifice. Relying on factual evidence, on verified accounts, and authentic sources isn't merely an academic obligation, it's a moral one.